Hello grade 11s. In this lesson, we will look at subsistence farming as a type of business enterprise. We will explain income and expense statements, drawing of graphs and determining the break-even point by reading off a graph. Subsistence farming is farming food for your family and selling the excess to make extra cash. If done correctly, it can grow into a fully fledged business. One such success is a story of Inga from Dimbaza in the Eastern Cape. Inga was retrenched from the mines in Johannesburg and returned home. He was given some money in his retrenchment package and wants to invest it into his business so that he can support his family. His only skill he could use was his knowledge of growing spinach. He then started planting spinach to support his family. Inga and his family will do all the labor. Starting in September, they planted 200 plants a month. Spinach needs to grow for about 2.5 months before the large leaves are ready to be harvested, which means that his first harvest was in November. When the farm is functioning at its full capacity, Inga will have 600 spinach plants. Spinach only produces good leaves for another 2 to 3 months after that, which means that Inga will have to continue to replace the plants. He will sell bunches of 10 leaves for 5 rand each. To make up one bunch of 10 leaves, Inga needs to grow roughly 3 plants. When Inga started this, there was no income for the first few months. He needed to start on a manageable and affordable scale. Luckily for Inga, he had a bit of money to support himself until he started being self-sufficient. Lately, he has been able to use the previous year's income and expenses to plan his business for the next year. One of Inga's secrets to his success has been to draw up a detailed budget for his farming enterprise. We will be looking at the startup years of his business. This is what his income expenditure statement looked like for the month of November 2010. This was the first month he received an income from the farm, and this was 330 rand. Remember that at this point, only 200 plants were ready to be harvested. He still had to continue planting in order to replace the plants that will be finished producing before the winter. The cost of the new seedlings was 48 rand. His other expenses included fertilizer, insecticide, and packaging. His net cash flow for the month is 227 rand. We find this by subtracting the expenses from the income. Now let's look at the income and expenditure statement for January. At this point, Inga was able to harvest all 600 plants. When harvesting 600 plants, Inga had an income of 1,000 rand. His total expenditure was 113 rand. His net cash flow was 887 rand. Based on this information, we can calculate the production cost of cultivating 600 plants a month. Let's start by calculating the cost of cultivating 1 plant of spinach. This is done by dividing the total expenditure by 600. 113 rand divided by 600 is 0,188333 recurring rand. We round this up to 19 cents because it is a cost factor. When we are working with the cost of something, we always round up. Now let's calculate the cost price of a bunch of leaves. A bunch is made up of 3 plants. Multiply this by 19 cents and the cost price of 57 cents. Now let's work out the profit he will make on 1 bunch of spinach. The selling price of 5 rand minus the cost price of 57 cents gives a profit of 4 rand and 43 cents. Have you heard of a break-even point? This is the point when the income and the expenses are the same amount. Before the break-even point, a business is running at a loss. After the point, the business is making a profit. Let's look at this on a graph. There are 2 lines on this graph. The one represents the expenses and the other the income. The meeting point of the two graphs is the break-even point. Let's plot Inga's expenses and income on a graph so that we can see the break-even point. The graph shows that the break-even point came just before the 3rd month of farming. This was when Inga's income was more than his expenses and when he started making a profit. Thank you for joining us, grade 11s. Remember, the tasks for this section can be found in the Basics of Finance task video. You'll also be able to learn more about finance on our website www.mindset.co.za/learn. Take care.